necessarily real. Depends.
Yes, well, we probably won't be translating them because Thomas can speak English very well, but if it's necessary, I will translate.
Depends on how difficult the question was. So, we'll see.
Okay. Yes, if we get an answer to that, it's showtime.
Good morning, everybody. We go on to the category B, presentations. Just reminding, please switch off your mobile phones. And we can start the presentation.
Servus, grüß Gott im Pfaffenhofen. Servus, hallo, grüß dich. Grüß Gott. Salam. Servus.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I bid you a hearty servus, grüß Gott, and hello. I'd like to take you along on a visit to Pfaffenhofen an der Ilm, a small town in Germany, but a very lively one. I'm Thomas Herker, the mayor, and just like the many enthusiastic people you just saw and who enjoy living there, I too am a fan of Pfaffenhofen. That is why we were also excited when we heard we had been nominated to the LivCom-Finals. Thank you very much for having us. And here's a short view on Pfaffenhofen. What the city of Pfaffenhofen is about, a good ground for great projects. There are many good reasons for that, and there are many reasons why Pfaffenhofen is livable. Some are in the heart, many other facts are really based on hot stuff. In the next half hour, I'll be telling you more about them. First, let me show you one more time where Pfaffenhofen is. In the south of Germany, in what probably is Germany's most famous federal state, Bavaria. As long as 6,500 years ago, people were finding our region livable and settled here. The actual town of Pfaffenhofen was founded about 1400 years ago, when monks built a farm to feed a nearby monastery. Today, 24,000 people live in Pfaffenhofen, and our town covers an area of about 92 square kilometers, and of this, 85% are farmland and forest. Pfaffenhofen is a city with an organic structure. Everything is still in its place. What we have also seen is we are right in the middle of a growth region in Germany's most popular and most prosperous port. History and location have been very good to us. But we know very well that a city will only continue to be livable if it faces up to the challenges of the future. I'll first tell you about our individual strategies in each of the 6 topical areas. After that, you will see some selected examples where we have already been successful. As I told you, there are many reasons why I think Pfaffenhofen is livable. Let's start with the first reason, our countryside. To keep its human scale. This means we need to plan sensibly. This is not always easy because our town has been growing dynamically over the past years, both in terms of area and in terms of population. People keep moving to Pfaffenhofen and our population is now twice as big as it was 50 years ago. This certainly shows that Pfaffenhofen is an attractive place to live. But something else is important too. For centuries, Pfaffenhofen has been marked by agriculture and making food. This is why it's so important that we respect the environment in our urban planning. Because we want to plan so that the future generations can live well as we do now, our landscape and urban planning is based on one fundamental principle. If you want dynamic growth, you need an integrated planning approach. What does this mean specifically? Pfaffenhofen is set among green hills within the world's largest hops growing area. Hops is the main ingredient for making beer. This is what hops fields look like in summer. In between these fields lie villages and a lot of them are part of Pfaffenhofen today. This one here, Göbelsbach, won in 1998 the award for the most livable village in Bavaria in the annual competition of the same name. 184 hectares of forests belong to the city itself. This is good for our people and this is good for our climate. But Pfaffenhofen is an attractive location and so the inner city is being built up more and more. That is why our urban planning aims at making more room for greenery inside our town. Over the past years, we've been opening up sealed areas in the center of the town. First and foremost, our main square. This is what it looked like in 2006, and this is what it looks like now, following its redesign in 2009. It is only now that you can appreciate the beauty of the square. Many more people come here now than they used to. But we want even more green in the city. As I speak to you here in Korea, the city is planning for the State Garden Fair in 2017. Pfaffenhofen applied as a host and was selected. The fair will be held under the motto, Nature in the City. We will be creating new public park areas, we will be upgrading existing parks, and most importantly, we will be returning the Ilm River to its original state at the Green Ribbon and making its banks better accessible to the citizens. We invite citizens to make suggestions during the dialogue phase of this project. After all, this is not about a one-off flowering show, but about sustained efforts for more quality of life. The next example will again be about how we deal with growth. We do not want the city to grow in size. This is why we promote careful use of land resources. This is what we signed up to under the statewide Municipal Land Resource Management Program. We are proud of the result because Pfaffenhofen has been recognized as one of 4 model communities in Bavaria in this area. What we do is identify land that is underused and see whether we can recycle it. Here, for example, there used to be an old cogwheel manufacturing plant that closed several years ago. On these 2 hectares, the plant stood. We are right now building housing for 350 inhabitants, including a community center, and that enables us to save at least 6 hectares of space we would have needed elsewhere. But we do not just look out for the city center. As part of the state government's Village Renewal program, we have been upgrading roads and buildings and built new community centers. This means people will gladly continue living here, so we are helping to save village communities. Many of these villages, I should add, take the name of the creeks next to them, though these creeks are essential for our identity. However, only 6.5% of them are still in their natural condition. Under our river and creek development plan, we will eventually restore parts of 12 creeks to their original state. This will improve fauna, flora, and the appearance of the countryside and rainwater retention. As a result of our work in this area so far, Pfaffenhofen is today a model community in terms of restrained human scale and ecological urban planning. What they think makes Pfaffenhofen especially livable, and you will hear very often, because of terms of the arts, there is so much going on. We are very pleased to hear this because most of the time it seems the big cities nearby outshine our arts offering. But we are fighting back. For about 3 years now, Pfaffenhofen has been joining forces with local artists and initiatives to turn the city into a small-scale art space and to strengthen its ties with the region in this respect. To do so, we have raised the arts department's budget and headcount, and also we have designated new spaces for arts and culture. We regularly invite artists from all over the world, but we are also proud of our own arts and own artists. This is why we encourage local talent. Our strategy is raise recognition, improve connections, and show expertise. Pfaffenhofen is of course not Berlin, but come into our new arts hall, and you may think it is. The city turned this former manufacturing hall into a central location for arts and culture. Since then, a huge number of works by renowned contemporary artists has been on display here. The most successful was the Examples to Follow exhibition, in which artists showed their take on the subject of sustainability. We turned the hall's outside walls over to sprayers. This has allowed us to prevent illegal graffiti and thus vandalism. This project has been running for more than 10 years. We also care deeply about our amateur and professional artists. To boost their creativity, we have been doing several things. Handing out awards, as we did in a competition for newcomer bands, or with our cultural award. Providing teaching, about 600 children are currently enrolled in our municipal music school. And thirdly, providing space, as we do with our municipal gallery, where citizens are free to put their art on display. A totally different city comes into view when we live to our traditions. People here do not put on a folklore show for tourists, but because it's part of their Heimat, of their roots. This is most visible every September when the city holds its annual Volksfest. It's, if you will, the little brother of Munich's famous Oktoberfest. And tradition requires that at the opening, the mayor taps the first beer cask. And so I do, even if it's a bit tricky, you can see. Our traditional Bavarian way of life has always been deeply marked by religious traditions and the daily work of farmers and tradesmen. This is why we have local culture museum showing religious works of arts and tools of traditional trades. Archaeologists went even further back in our city's history. Regulations say they must be on hand whenever excavations take place in the old part of town. And developers need to set aside 10% to pay for this. This is money very well spent, because in the summer of 2011, just some months ago, we founded these shards. They are about 6,500 years old. Before they were found, we did not know that people had settled in our area so long ago. We always thought just 2,000 years back. Now we know, well, it seems as Pfaffenhofen was already livable 4,000 years before Jesus Christ. Also contributing to keep our heritage alive is our municipal registrar. He's in charge of preserving historical items like this, over 500 years of historical etching. So, what's the benefit from our patronage of the arts? It is that we provide our people with fresh self-confidence from their own roots and new inspirations. As I told you earlier, Pfaffenhofen is a producer of food. We supply infant formula for half the world. HIP, the local manufacturer, is the largest processor of bioorganic materials in the world. This is why it matters so much to us that our good soil, our good water and our good air remain clean. And this is why we are determined to retain the water supply and sewage treatment in the hands of the city government, even if that costs around about 5 million euro per year. In Pfaffenhofen we are ambitious when it comes to the environment. Just have a look at these milestones. So, it should not be surprising that our strategic principle is stay one step ahead and be true to our bioorganic tradition. You've seen it in the milestones. We were the first German community to achieve the Kyoto Protocol's climate protection targets, and here's how we did it. As many as 2,000 visitors a year come from all over the world to look at our biomass power station. It was even featured at Germany's contribution to the 2002 climate summit in Johannesburg. The station runs on wood chips from regional forests, so everything is carbon neutral. The station provides heat, electricity and steam in combined cycle operation. It is very efficient and uses very proven technology, but being non-technical by myself, I'll spare you the details. Anyway, the filtering technology for particulate matter is so sophisticated that we actually underrun the legal limits by 80%. The plant was engineered by innovative firms in Pfaffenhofen, and it provides a direct benefit to the city because city government buildings get their heat through the teleheating network fed by the plant. Pfaffenhofen is a step ahead in other areas too. We are currently working on a comprehensive climate protection concept to raise energy efficiency in buildings yet again. We use 100% water power for public buildings. Our electricity comes from Bavarian hydropower stations. We were among the first to have solar power in citizens' ownership, and we instituted one of the first electric charging stations for vehicles in the region. Pfaffenhofen's Eco-Quartier has been attracting attention over since we showed the plans for it at Europe's largest commercial real estate fair in 2010. It's a residential model project that's unique in Germany because it marries sustainable living and work. At the center is an organic farm operating, and around there is housing for about 500 individuals and competent center for ecology-oriented companies are to follow. Eco-Quartier will feature energy from 100% renewable sources, materials 100% free of toxins, hardly any soil sealing, unpiped rainwater runoff, community centers, and much more. Citizens can participate themselves in the development of this community through a neighborhood advisory council. The city of Pfaffenhofen has constantly supported this project, which otherwise has been fully financed by private investors. It will start in 2012. That means the first houses will be built next year. The official opening is next week. So, yeah. We Germans have a reputation for being active in the protection of the environment. This is true of Pfaffenhofen too. We separate our waste and recycle the resources it contains. We do so. We have created 15 collection points throughout the city. Citizens also show a lot of dedication at the city's annual Ramadama. That's an event, and it means in Bavarian, or that's Bavarian for "Let's clean up together," where volunteers remove refuse from the landscape. A dedicated collection center will take in surplus furniture, household goods and clothing, and at our flea market, the largest in the region, people can buy used things at low prices. Species protection is another area where our citizens are very active in volunteer work. Whether it's in building protection fences for frogs, populations, creating colorful meadows and habitats for bees, or repopulating fishes to the Ilm. And I should also mention that in response to demands from our citizens, we have freely chosen not to allow any genetically modified organism on our municipal land. So where does this leave us? I'm sure Pfaffenhofen is an ecologically sound city that is well prepared for our future. Germany take pride in perfectly regulating everything. Our ambition was to go beyond merely administrating and to actively involve our citizens to the city development. To do this, we need to motivate citizens' involvement and create institutions. In this process, the city acts as a facilitator, bringing together individuals and their respective opinions. Our goal is to be a city of active citizens' involvement. What makes us do this? Our strategic principle can be described as follows: fostering community spirit, encouraging dialogue, encouraging solidarity. A dedicated action plan has been in place to promote interaction between the citizens and their city since 2008. This is what our first example is about. The motto Pfaff und du joint design, understanding and dialogue. Pfaff is the official abbreviation of Pfaffenhofen. The aim is to foster a dialogue with our citizens and to encourage civic involvement through focused initiatives. This can be through a citywide idea contest, as we held on before we redesigned the main square. One result is the new fountain. We also hold workshops where citizens are invited to design specific city development projects. I myself use appearances in Pfaff and do videos to tell the citizens about the city council decisions. We are currently setting up a Pfaff and do online community, and we take our case to the people, setting up information stands in popular locations. The city regularly holds citizens' meetings, and these meetings are empowered to send motions to the city government. Our citizens' online office takes city government and Pfaff and do informations into your living room via the internet, allowing you to fill out forms, read minutes of the city council sessions and watch video streams of meetings. The Bavarian state government recognized Pfaffenhofen's efforts to create a transparent city hall, shown as best practice in a federal exhibition. Our youth parliament has become a model for many other communities. This non-partisan political forum has been in place since 1998. Its members are elected by the city's youth. It has the power to send motions to the city council and the city government. It has a budget of its own, so it can pay for activities. And one outstanding example is Linie Nacht, a minibus that provides on-demand nighttime transportation for young people on weekends, ensuring autonomy as well as safety. 70 volunteer drivers take turns operating the bus. As it is, there are incredibly many institutions and individual citizens involved in community work. We saw this yet again when we held our first ever volunteer work fair. More than 40 organizations, from our volunteer fire brigade to the arts club, from volunteer assistance for handicapped citizens to our animal protection association, turned out for the event. We take great pride in publishing this kind of involvement and thus showing our appreciation. Another occasion appreciating volunteer work is our annual community worker reception, where we honor individuals involved in helping their fellow citizens. Thanks to all these projects and the volunteer spirit of our citizens, I'm sure Pfaffenhofen has become a self-confident and really empowered community. Pfaffenhofen are fortunate. One of Germany's most regarded newspapers called us Insel der Glückseligen, which means Island of the Blissful, just a while ago. Several national and international rankings show we are indeed doing well. This has made us choose the following strategic principle for the healthy lifestyle action area. Share good fortune, but also close existing gaps. We have the Tafel, an institution distributing surplus food to the needy. We have a shelter for the homeless and reduced admission fees for welfare recipients. All this cater to the poor and the weak. But even the strong need help sometimes. Just like almost anywhere else in prosperous countries, people in Pfaffenhofen suffer from being overweight, exercising too little, and being subjected to too much stress. This is what we do to fight these things. Our children seem to understand less and less about natural foods and their preparation. This is where Chef Kids come in, a nutrition education program run by our municipal daycare centers. To teach children where food comes from, they visit an organic farm or the butcher. For instance, children get to cook their own meals under the guidance of professional chefs. Interaction among the group creates food and nutrition awareness. Children may even show their parents who don't know how it works how to create a tasty family meal from real fresh ingredients. Exercise should be fun, and this is why we created leisure sports, such as an experience course complete with equipment in the city forest. The city operates a municipal sports center with soccer pitches, a rock climbing hall, outdoor pools, beach volleyball courts, and an ice stadium. And our skate hall is it's not one of the largest, it's the largest in whole Bavaria. Events such as the Stadtlauf, the City Run, create more enthusiasm for physical activity. For decades, our municipal sports assistance policy has been providing a dependable economic basis for our amateur associations and the valuable voluntary youth work. Exercise, after all, it's not just good for the individual, it also creates opportunities for socializing, and is thus good for the community. Socializing is important in old age too, as it can help maintain your health and the quality of your life. Pfaffenhofen has more than 3,300 inhabitants older than 70. Our senior citizens office supports them. It's an open institution offering a wide range of events. In 2010, 51 volunteers totaled almost 4,300 hours of community work. About 11,000 visitors benefited from leisure and education offerings. Often, the office can bring generations into contact, such as when they do handicrafts or when young people explain their elders how to operate a mobile phone. This is how we help create Pfaffenhofen as we and our citizens would like to have it. A paradise for the very small, the big ones, the strong, and especially for the weak. Think with an open mind, act with determination. This is our motto. And this is why we are participating in the LivCom Awards. What we hope to do is to put our projects to the test and to see what others think of them. In Germany, the law says that there needs to be a certain minimum standard in living conditions everywhere in the nation, whether in the city, in the country, in rich parts and in poor. Thus, there are guidelines for many areas from the government of Bavaria, the federal state government, or the European Union when it comes to education, childcare, water quality, or species protection. This is what you can see on this graphic. For example, parents are entitled to a space in a daycare for their children. And we need to meet stringent guidelines in Savage. There are the requirements we must meet as a city. And what we do in detail to meet these requirements is our own decision. In principle, a German city government is autonomous. In Pfaffenhofen, we decided we want to do more than just meet the minimum standards. This is why we provide lots of so-called discretionary services, especially in the arts and in leisure activities. How so? Individual citizens, city council members, city government officials and associations meet on a voluntary basis in the context of Pfaff und Du and debates, ideas and proposals. An elected body of volunteers, the 30-seat city council, takes up these suggestions and make decisions. Projects are then executed by the city itself through a public-private partnership or by private investors. Once a project has been approved, experts will be called on to provide a detailed concept. A project report published by the city government every 2 years sets out project status, results and achievements. But let's look at 2 specific examples. Our local Agenda 21, which began in 1999 with a citizens' conference on the future, provides the basis for our sustainable development activities. More than 10 years later, much has been achieved. The 53 action points are more than 50% completed. Some of them have become a permanent task for the city government. It has been worth the effort. In May 2011, the Bavarian State Ministry for Health and the Environment presented Pfaffenhofen with its Sustainable Citizens Community in Bavaria seal of approval. But we want to continue taking the long view. And this is why we are currently working on our integrated urban development concept. This includes real estate projects, ideas and insights from our landscape plan, our real estate resource usage plan, our transportation master plan, the concept for the state garden fair, the white paper on retail, and our climate protection concept. Action areas include building use, urban renewal, public spaces, park structure, demographics, traffic, tourism, arts, as well as inward investment marketing. And the goal is to make Pfaffenhofen more attractive for its citizens and visitors and do so sustainably. Our groundwork in strategic planning can be summarized as follows. Tackling different fields of action, keeping a clear view. One requirement incidentally applies to everything we do. We need to be able to pay for it. And our city budget plan will tell us whether this is so. And measure needs to contribute to making Pfaffenhofen even more lively, attractive and sustainable. There's a great deal more I could tell you about. For example, our waste separation activities or the public transport systems. But as you showed me, the time is limited, so I'll stop. If there are any questions, I'd try to answer to it. And so I say thank you for your attention.
Thank you for the presentation. I will ask the questions first of the